Yeah.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I am Tisha, and this is Nate and Nat. And today you are tuning into Casual Convo Friday, where we do this every Friday, except when we just don't feel like it. No, I'm just kidding. Unless we're just on vacation. But this is just our version of getting together with some cool people and talking about some topics and answering questions. So if you are tuning into this live, make sure to send us a comment, or even if you're watching the replay, we do go back and check it. So if you have any questions, if you just want to say hello, by all means, say hi to us. But today we are joined by Nat Handler. He's the president of the Vendara Group out here in Arizona. And we're talking about the evolution of traditional marketing tools. Are they dead in the water? Do we keep using them? So I'm interested to hear about this topic. And I know that Nate, our brilliant question asker, is going to get us started. All right, Nate.
Right, that's right. I got some good ones.
I know you do. I know you do. Let's bring it this Friday.
All right, Nat. Well, obviously, Nat, I'm a systems guy. You know this. I'm all about the software and getting the right tools in the right hands, kind of thing. Let's start with what's the difference between the traditional and the digital marketing tools that we got available to us now.
Well, I think the main difference between digital and traditional or foundational marketing tools is really the medium through which, you're reaching out to the audience. Traditional are your typical offline advertising promotional methods. So you think of things like broadcast TV, broadcast radio, print, magazines, newspaper. You've got outdoor in terms of maybe billboards and flyers, direct mail, postcards, catalogs. Telephone, telemarketing, SMS marketing, which, SMS, I guess, could creep into digital as well. And then, point of sale and promotional marketing. Whereas digital, you're looking at an online, access point. And you're talking about, search engine or optimization. So SEO, PPC, pay-per-click, content marketing, social media marketing, email marketing, mobile marketing. And really marketing analytics. And, those are the different mediums. And it's funny because a lot of people, look at the traditional marketing mediums as really being old fashioned. Everything is, digitally focused these days. In the last several years, how companies market and market their product and services has changed dramatically. That was accelerated by COVID, where, technology came to the forefront. Consumers were forced to use digital, and, companies responded in kind by, making sure that all of their offerings, after getting up to speed, were digital in nature. And but that dramatic move by consumers is what makes industry, what makes all the different verticals move. And so you've probably seen tenfold change in the last year toward digital than you have probably in the last 5 years combined. But in doing so, what I've seen out there, or what I'm seeing out there, is nobody's really looking at the traditional advertising and marketing, media opportunities, and kind of looking at marketing as, a toolbox where, yes, you have all these amazing digital tools, but you also have all these traditional marketing tools. And, you've got a situation. I think it's interesting to me because I'm, being in the mode where I'm looking for new consulting gigs right now, or potentially had some outreach about some full-time permanent positions. I'm seeing a lot of people running at me for digital marketing positions. And I'm like, okay, do you have a VP of marketing and so forth? And I'm there. It's like, no, we just got this digital marketing position. And I look at that as thinking, okay, well, now, without a traditional marketing position, you've already decided how you're going to market. Okay. You're not even considering anything else. You've got, that title, and let's be honest, digital is a tactic. It's not a strategy. So now the tactic is in the title. Okay. The people they're hiring are untrained in traditional marketing for the most part, don't know how to. And the other trend I think we're seeing is that companies aren't developing a strategy anymore. It's just like, well, digital. Okay, we got to make sure our website's up. We got to make sure SEO is good. We got to do, but what's your strategy? You can't start laying out tactics until you've developed that strategy.
Yes, I like this topic.
Mhm.
I was just having a talk with a client of mine too, and I kind of pointed that out. Like my kids are learning this whole start with the end in mind, and I feel like we miss that. A lot of us are missing that. We're so go, go, go. We're just like flying by the seat of our pants. We don't have the strategy or the plan in place. But it's like if you just kind of figured out what you want that outcome to be, and then you back it up with what tactics you have to put into that plan, it makes it so much easier.
Well, and the other piece of it is, and I have an interesting kind of, example is, the first thing you've got to do before you move forward to anything is you've got to diagnose what the issue is,
Mm-hmm.
And that means research, and that leads to who your customer is, segmentation, so forth, so it's like diagnosis first, strategy second, and then strategy, is a combination of not only what you're choosing to do, but what you're not choosing to do, and being able to ramble your way through that marketing toolbox and choose those tools that will best help you reach your audience, and so again, you're doing your diagnosis, you're developing your strategy, and you've got to do both of those things before you sit down and look at tactics. And kind of as an example, if you go back to like the old days, where like World War II or something like that, you had all these generals getting together, and developing these military strategies where they would gather, they would survey battlefields, they would look at where the enemy forces are, decide exactly where to attack, what time to attack, which forces to use. And once they agreed on that strategy, then that information gets pushed out to like the battalions, where they then develop the tactical angle on how to, meet those objectives. And then, they go from there. That's similar to what should be happening in whether you consider it a traditional marketing world or today's marketing world. There should be a similar kind of systematic process where, you're building that map from your market research, you're coming up with that segmentation. From there, you're kind of deciding which segments to go after, how to position the brand for best success. And then you devise the clear strategy objectives and then, targeting, the different segments, that you're going after. And only then, when you kind of have clarity on the who, what, when, do you start to think about the tactical execution and, which tools you're going to use to get to those people, and I think, you're just seeing a lack of attention to those steps. That whole thing of, design, plan, execute, so forth, just doesn't seem to be happening. It's just like, okay, digital, and we're going to do SEO and PPC, and, we're going to do a shotgun approach. And, it used to be, there's no segmentation, there's no drilling down, which these days is much, much more important. So, it seems to me that strategy is like the biggest deficit we have in marketing these days.
No, I can agree with that. I mean, back before we made the pivot from marketing and stuff, I remember people just wanted us to do the shotgun approach. It was like, hey, give me an email, Google search ads, social media ads, and roll with it, and that's effective for a while until too many people's doing it, and then it's like, well, now you got to take your next step. You gotta refine things. For example, if you want to target senior citizens with like life insurance plans, right? I would go ahead and tell you would probably do really well with like Microsoft advertising, because those kinds of people, they're not installing Chrome and other browsers and stuff. They're using Bing and Edge because it's installed on the computer, right?
Yep.
Just that little type of segment can help you get that extra edge you're looking for and doing stuff. Same thing goes with, you probably can do pretty decently well still with direct mail. Sending personal letters and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, mailboxes are empty these days, and that's direct mail is a great example of how something in traditional marketing has evolved. There are all new tactics to direct mail these days, and if you hit it right, direct mail, really has an amazing effect and can be so easy to target. As an example, when I was doing consulting work for my former company last year, we were opening a new clinic, behavioral health clinic in Atlanta. And, we went down the digital marketing route. And because we were in the pandemic, normally that clinic, because they served kids ages 9 through 31. So, and 31 is still a kid, because if you've got behavioral issues, the parents are still involved. So when in a non-pandemic situation, they're drawing an audience from approximately a 45-minute radius, because you figure parents pick up kids after school. You got to deal with rush hour there, rush hour home. So the propensity to travel, is within 30 to 45 minutes. And so the focus was that all the digital would be done within that 45 minutes, say 50-mile radius in terms of zip codes and so forth. But during the pandemic, we went to, Zoom sessions, because the clinics closed. Mm-hmm. Well, from a legal standpoint, that opens up the audience to the entire state of Georgia. Yet they would not move off of the local. Okay, so that was problem number one. It's like, guys, you've got to look. You've been given this bigger audience now. You can't just stay within that 40-minute radius kind of a thing. The other piece of it was in being so focused on digital is, you're looking for partners who are going to refer patients to you, and so you're looking at school counselors, you're looking at doctors, pediatricians, family physicians, people like that. You're looking at hospital psychiatry units and so forth. And you're typically not going to reach those people through digital. A doctor's not sitting on his laptop all day, looking for that kind of stuff. So one of the things I put into place that kind of brings you back to the traditional side is I reached out to the American Medical Association to gain access to their mailing list. Now, we all probably know that one of the worst practices in marketing is to purchase mailing lists. But that's more true on the consumer side than it is on the professional side, because associations like the American Medical Association, they keep a really, really tight list. And what's great about their list is they are able to hyper target it. So they send me a sheet. They say, pick the specialties that you want to reach out to. So sitting there going through, and there's like 200 specialties in Georgia. I'm picking the 17 or 18 that are specific to who we want to refer to. Okay. And then while they won't give you the list, they say, if you create the direct mail piece, okay, and send it to us, we'll mail it out for you. Okay. And then along the way, I also learned that we need to mail to practice managers, because 9 times out of 10, the doctor never sees the mail. It's the practice manager who sees the mail. So there's a great example of digital marketing not helping you with the people you're looking for, and having an open mind to what's sitting there in the marketing toolbox, and how you approach it. Another angle there is, and Tisha, you're familiar with Phoenix Magazine. Mm-hmm. High-end bossy, it's the $100,000 income and above people. You see it in all doctors' offices. You see it on newsstands. You don't see many newsstands anymore. Obviously, it's available by subscription. Well, I proposed going, there's a similar magazine in Atlanta called I believe it was the Atlantean. And I'm like, okay, I want to do a half-page ad there. They were like, what are you, crazy? Print advertising, in a magazine, nobody sees them. Like, you guys don't get it. They're taking their kids to the doctor. They're sitting there doing nothing. They're flipping through the magazine and there's the ad, on mental health services and so forth. Like, you got to think about where your customer is. They're not just at home in front of their computer. They're not just on their cell phone. They have lives, and you see that starting to develop in on the digital side too. I was talking to not Clear Channel, iHeartRadio in Atlanta, as well as a company that specialized in like beacon advertising, and they have the capability. It's like, so your client or your target is parents making 100,000 and above. Well, those parents shop at Whole Foods. Okay. Well, iHeartRadio has technology, mobile technology, where if you get within 20 feet of a Whole Foods store, they can text you an ad.
Yep.
And they have the demographics and so forth to do that. Now what they can't do is, like, if you had a clinic inside an office building with 20 other businesses in there, okay, they could target based on when you get close to that office building, but they don't know if you're at that office building to go get behavioral health services. So I don't want to take away from the capabilities of digital, okay, but I also, this is, like, for me, the reminder that there are so many amazing traditional marketing tools, OTT, which is, advertising on, Netflix and Amazon Prime and so forth, is huge right now. And their targeting capabilities are just growing in leaps and bounds. And when you think about the audience there and how much time people binge watch and so forth, that falls under traditional. You're back into the TV realm. People are starting to go back to work. Radio is seeing huge improvements. I got a buddy who's a Clear Channel Outdoor here, and he's like, their outdoor billboard sales are up by like 700%, in the last 6 months. So, and then as I dominate the conversation here, the other thing
it's like, hey, you just keep going. I'll just keep talking to people online.
The other thing that is really interesting to me, and we've all seen this, Tisha, you got little kids, so you've seen this in a different way, but you got this like shiny object syndrome going on. You kind of got all these new, fresh, digital marketing people who, every new little thing that comes along, it's like, oh my gosh, and they get distracted by it. And they think that new thing is going to be the end all and be all to drive their business, and it's not only those people, but it's like the bosses. I mean, again, in my last gig, I've got a boss who's sitting there going, I read about this today. We need to stop doing all this and we need to do that. And it's just like, no, first of all, it's not fully proven. Second of all, it's like the social media argument of, well, I need to do TikTok and I need to do this and that. It's like, I'm sorry, 98 whatever percent of your audience is still sitting on Facebook.
Yeah.
Spending all this money here now. And that's not to say don't use TikTok, but know who your audience is and where they are, because there are certainly campaigns I would use TikTok for, depending on who my audience was.
Sure. What do you think about all this, Nate? I mean, you do a lot of traditional marketing.
Yeah. For us, to be honest with you, like, we use a combination of tools, right? And a lot of times we'll use more of the digital tools for the prospecting portion. It's to build the audience, find out who's interested in the stuff. Exactly. But our actual best reach and stuff has actually been coming through email campaigns and me just messaging people and things like that. And I'll tell you why is because most of the companies that we're looking for as a client that needs their systems overhauled, they're not tech savvy companies. They're not going to be the ones that are in the upper echelon of, hey, we're moving forward. They're already doing that for themselves. The ones we're going to get a hold of are companies that are way behind And if they're already way behind on their internal systems, you better believe they're not out and about, on TikTok and places like that. You're lucky. I'll be honest with you, I'm lucky if I get half of my responses back from LinkedIn a lot of times because they're not on there. You go to find them. I'll start talking to somebody and I go looking for them and they're not on there. They may have some young employees that are on there, but the head honchos, they're not there.
Right.
They're not on social media. They're not looking at anything. And so, I use a lot of, for an example, I used to target C-suite members and just below. But now I've got where I'm targeting first line supervisors up to like the salesmen and marketing reps and stuff, because those are the ones I can get in touch with the earliest, and then they get me an introduction. Yeah. And so that's how we've been running our marketing campaigns. We're not doing big blasts. We're not trying to flood every social media there is and stuff like that. We're hitting a certain segment and then letting that lead to more acquisition that way, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Absolutely. Well, you've just got to be, again, the segmentation part is huge. I'm sure you've run into new clients where you go in and you ask a battery of questions that you think that they would be able to answer off the top of their head. Who's your customer? You reach out to them. What's been, and you get deer in the headlights looks.
Yeah.
Because they just have no clue. They're not on top of that. And they don't realize, how important that is. And that kind of circles me back around. Tisha's heard me say this, I don't know how many times. It's like one of my biggest pet peeves. It's like, that old adage of, you can't build a solid house on a broken foundation. Not doing the, if you're not handling the basic marketing tenets well, the marketing 101 stuff well, okay, then you're not going to be successful with what you're building on top of that, kind of a thing. And again, those basics really come down to, doing your research, really digging into, who your audience is, but not in a broad way. You've got to drill down, and niche it more, and then developing that strategy, and then look at that and go, okay, so, we can use digital across the board for everybody, but we could also hit them with direct mail. We could also hit them with, text messaging or whatever. And you pick and choose accordingly, but, there's no strategy there.
Yeah.
And then even when they're thinking, it's just all you hear is digital tactics, and it's just like, stop already.
Yeah. I have a question for you, Nat. So what do you feel is, a good time frame? If you were testing out traditional marketing tools, do it for how long? Before you decide it's not really working, moving on to the next.
I don't think there's a prescribed how long. Nor for any marketing tool. Okay. You're putting together your strategy, you're developing your tactics, you push everything out, and depending on the industry, the vertical, so forth, if you're doing it right, you're monitoring your results. Digital, tends to be easier to monitor, because you're seeing if people are clicking on something, if they're opening a landing page, whatever the case may be. That doesn't mean they read it. That doesn't mean they paid attention to it. But, it's like email, and open rates. Well, great, you opened it, but did you read it?
Yeah.
If you didn't take the next step and didn't respond, to me, that's more important, kind of a thing. But, I think what you do is you sit down and you monitor, you look at the analytics, and marketing is all about trial and error, and your ability to, I don't like the word pivot, but adjust accordingly. Okay. So, if I were doing that, mailing, down in that AMA mailing down in Atlanta to all the doctors and everything, I tried to improve my results. So we had a call center. So we did that mailing, and then I got the list of all the names that got mailed to and the phone numbers. So I passed it off to my call center and said, okay, I want you guys to wait a week because we send it out bulk mail. Okay. So you figure, okay, it's going to take 7 to 10 days from here to there, kind of a thing. And then started calling through the list, of 150 different doctors and saying, hey, just touching base to see if you got our piece. We're opening up a new clinic, blah, 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 blah. So you can improve your chances. That's a great way to track and see if it's working, but I don't think there's a prescribed time that it's like, okay, try direct mail. If it doesn't, if you don't get any responses in 3 weeks, you gotta build traction. Sometimes it takes multiple efforts, before something catches on, before somebody decides you're not some fly-by-night organization. It could be that mailbox postcard got stuck in the middle of that weekly flyer because your mailman was just like, I got to get everything in the mailbox. And you never saw it, because it got mixed in with something else, kind of a thing. So, and then there are things that are just hard to measure. Everybody was like, well, how are you going to know if the magazine ad works? Well, that's easy. I'm creating an exclusive 800 number, okay, that only goes in that ad, okay? The call center's aware of it. The call center's tracking it. And, we'll find out. But on something like that too, you've got to sit down and go, okay, how do we measure success? And people have to be realistic about that. I'm sure both of you have gone in with clients who are like, I've been doing this a week. Why isn't it working? Because it doesn't work that way. You've got to build momentum. You've got to gain traction. And sometimes that takes, that's hard. My boss pushed back on the consulting gig. I wanted to buy 4 months of ads, half-page ads. Number one, price break, significant price break than just 1 month. Number two, got to build traction.
You do.
So there's not really, I would tell you that there isn't a prescribed time, and as everyone knows with digital, you look at AdWords, you look at analytics and so forth. And almost every day or every other day or multiple times during the week, you're making little adjustments in the audience and those digital ads and so forth. So, it's just kind of, marketing's kind of the go with the flow thing. Now something just jumping out in your face is just having flopped and failed. Well, and you're not seeing it, that tells me you're not paying attention, and you got to be able to, move off of it and move into something else. But
right.
There's a blanket prescribed time you can put on any of them.
We do have a question coming in from Terry that says, which type of marketing is best, traditional or digital? And I think we talked about this a little bit too, but now you're really saying that, it's a mix of both. It really depends on your audience and creating the strategy.
Correct.
For that target audience.
I don't think that you can sit down on a broad basis and say one is better than the other. I think within those two groups, again, you've got to look at your audience, where your audience lives, where they're getting their messaging. They may be getting their messaging in multiple places. And then you've got to choose those traditional and digital tools that will work best on getting your message to your audience. So, for, one company, where they're trying to drive people to their website, and that's all they're trying to do, digital could be the way to go, for another company, you've got companies. I've got a friend out here who is head of marketing for a swimming pool tarp company, those retractable tarps and so forth, winter tarps. And she has just ridiculous success with direct mail, because you're going right to the homeowner, they're seeing that photo. That photos were, whereas they're not, you're seeing so many ads. There's such saturation, on digital that, they're in Facebook, looking to catch up with their friends. I don't ever pay attention to ads, on Facebook. I just sit there and click X gone. It's like, stop it. It's annoying me. Now I'm in the industry, I'm also one of those people that ads like that don't affect me one way or the other, because if I need to do something or buy something or find a service, I'm not looking at ads. I'm going and doing my research online and figuring out who but I'm in the industry. So I kind of look at that as the anomaly, versus most consumers. But, it's really all about targeting to where your consumers are actually living, breathing, and eating on a daily basis.
I would also say, I mean, you guys know this too, it takes several touch points. What do we say, 7, 15 to 21, however many touch points. So there's there's a frozen yogurt place that I always take the kids to. It's right down the street. I get text messages from them. I'm in their loyalty program. They are always advertising. It's kind of funny because like every time I get this community paper, I'm like, I know the ad is in there.
Yeah.
I'm clipping the ad. Kids, we're going back to Menchie's. Like, so hello to Menchie's frozen yogurt. But you start to see this, and you're right. You're so right, Nat. Like if they stop advertising and I just start forgetting about them. Like I have a coach that said, people fail when people forget about them or they don't know about them. So it is your job as a marketer, as a company, to constantly be showing up, be showing up. And however you do that, through traditional or through digital marketing,
no question.
You have to.
And some of the most simple, basic things still work. Menchie's, you're in the community paper, you put a 10% off your next purchase coupon in there, and that's going to be golden and driving your business. You're going to have people walking in with that thing. Or my dry cleaner is a great example. It's $3.25 per item to dry clean stuff every week. I'll get a 20% off if you bring dry cleaning in on Thursday. Now I'm sure that they're sitting there going, okay, what day of the week, do we see a lull? Thursday's toward the end of the week because, probably everybody's on Friday. So they're going, okay, let's push Thursday, kind of a thing, and it works. I went in yesterday. I dropped off I waited, I didn't do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because I brought in probably $40 in dry cleaning. And it's like, okay, I saved $8. That's things for free. It's little, but it's like, okay, I don't need to do it Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. I'll wait for Thursday. So, and to me, that's the most basic traditional piece of marketing. It's a promotional coupon, kind of thing. So
good tracker too.
There's lots of ways of doing that. I mean, with beacon technology, you walk through, for those people who still shop in malls or strip centers and so forth, you got retailers who, as you walk by their store, you hear that bing on your cell phone, and there comes up the offer, the coupon for that store. So that's couponing, that's promotional couponing, kind of a thing. So again, these things evolve. Coupons, you saw them, all you did is see them in the newspaper. My mom, when she was alive, couldn't wait for Wednesday's paper to get the fries coupons, food coupon. Now you go online, okay, and you just go like, here are the products I like. And when you shop online, they apply all the coupons for all the products you've ever bought automatically. But in the end, so that's evolved. And in the end, it's still promotional couponing. It's just evolved over the years. So
promotional couponing evolved. There you have it, friends. All right. Well,
the point is,
Nat,
stuff doesn't go away.
It doesn't go away. So that's what we're talking about today, is the evolution of marketing, traditional marketing tools. I know we're running out of time because this is such a great conversation. So Nat, I'll just wind us down. How can people reach you? And is there a shameless plug you want to throw in before we end?
Sure. So the name of my consulting business is Vendara Group, Vendara. You can find it at www.vendaragroup.com. I specialize in marketing, strategy, branding, events, corporate sponsorships, etc., public relations. And my shameless plug would be that happy to do a 30-minute free Zoom or phone call if anybody would like to talk. And short and sweet. That's it.
I'm just reading Luis's post. Yes, mom. Yeah, I will answer one of these times. Consistency, very big, very key. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Thanks to the people who joined us. We've got Terry, Royce, Luis. We had a couple others joining us on LinkedIn as well. We will be taking a break next week, so we will not be on for Casual Convo Friday, but come back July 2nd. We've got Mary Fane Brandt coming in and talking to us about conversion. and being able to convert those leads on LinkedIn. So check it out. We'll see you and have a great weekend and next week. Thanks, Nat.
everybody.
Thanks, Nate. Bye,
See
everyone.
y'all.